better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, I'll have what she's having.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And this week, Paige made us watch Love Again.
So I want to talk about my experience of watching this movie today.
Please do.
So and I mentioned that I have a prop to illustrate this, and I will bring it up when necessary.
Okay.
So I have fallen to the communists. I'm in the middle of my moon times. Surfing the crimson wave, period times. So I cried a lot in this movie.
Oh, Paige, fully same. I cried a lot. And I'm very concerned about the, quote, prop you brought to show Mikey and I now.
The prop is what's left over of what I had for lunch. And I think you'll recognize it.
Paige, it's so good.
The grilled cheese burrito from Taco Bell. And I ate one for lunch, and I still have this one here, and a Doritos Locos taco. So I ate a bunch of Taco Bell, and I'm period and hard, and I forgot that my office door was open. And I was watching this movie on my headphones, crying and farting, just
no matter what you're doing, that is what happens after Taco Bell.
yeah, just crying and farting. My husband did not know what I was doing today and came to check on me because he heard me crying and just found me sobbing and farting watching this Celine Dion movie, still eating a burrito, like not convinced that I should stop the farting. And he just laughed and laughed and laughed. But because I had headphones on, I couldn't hear him until I eventually turned like a weird sadness goblin and then got mad at him for laughing at me. But in his defense, he just saw me just sobbing and farting and eating a burrito. Marriage, love is real.
And then he walked out and got hit by a drunk driver.
Oh, no! How dare you?
How dare Celine Dion, Paige? How dare Celine Dion do that to John?
Well, I mean, it did feel like the way she looks at Candy that the green M&M was driving the car.
I don't even get that. Like, how did you get?
I don't understand.
She spends half the movie staring at the bag of Skittles, crying about it, and I was like, what'd those Skittles do to her?
They're delicious. That's what they do. They give her mouth pleasure the way he used to. Oh, God. Oh, no.
The same
This
bag.
is so terrible.
I did not cry in this film, and I feel like you two are not going to be funny in this episode.
Wow. First
Oh,
off,
I'm going to be very
rude.
funny in this
Secondly,
episode.
I bawled many times while watching this movie.
I cried
Yes.
way too much.
Jesus Christ. It felt like a high-budget Hallmark film.
It
Oh, no,
did.
Mikey,
And
it's
I
terrible.
love that.
It's terrible.
How
It
dare
is,
you?
it is arguably one of the strangest films I've seen in a long time.
It's
to the point
perfect.
I don't
No.
even know why Celine Dion is in it. It makes no sense.
Celine Dion acts like Zeus in Clash of the Titans, where she
Yes!
comes down from Mount Everest to interfere in the mortals' day-to-day life, and it's so fucking insane.
Her sister's the owl.
Her sister's the owl. Celine Dion in this movie is some sort of...
She's like, regular people, haha, why don't
Yeah.
you tell her? Actually, I'll go to lunch with her.
I'll go to lunch with her. I'm some sort of psychic being. She's like the queen in Bridgerton. It's wild.
I love not Maya Rudolph in that show, though. She does a great job.
Oh, she's so good. Did you watch the Queen Charlotte season? Anyway, but this movie, it deals with very heavy and sad themes.
It does.
But badly. Like, it's so fucking weird.
I sort of loved it, though. It's like this grief, trauma, bond, love, romance movie with a godlike Celine Dion character.
There's so many weird things in this movie.
It's
and
great.
like,
I felt like if once you start to analyze this movie,
It falls apart immediately, I'm sure.
Celine Dion helped him gaslight her, which is
Celine
so
Dion
crazy.
is very Zeus-like. Like, if
Yeah.
you had told me in this movie that Celine Dion's like, why don't you just turn into a swan and then swim near her? I'd be like, yeah, of course. Celine Dion would say that.
Can you imagine an actual press conference where Celine Dion's like, stop, I can tell you've never been loved or been in love. Next question.
She's so like a weird relationship guru in this movie. It's so, she's like, you seem brighter and you stand up straight. And you're just like, what?
And he finally got his happy ending. His boss let him create a podcast.
Yes, this movie is nothing if not a man achieving his dream of being a podcaster.
A terrible podcast. A really shitty podcast.
I mean, I don't think the concept is terrible. I think if I got mega celebrities on, I'd be like, like, would you fight a kangaroo or would you fight a penguin?
A penguin?
Everyone should
What
fight
are we
a penguin.
talking about?
We established this last night.
Todd said he couldn't fight one yesterday.
I don't think I said I couldn't fight one. I said if that was my superpower, it would be a shitty superpower.
Hey, last night was fucking weird and weird shit got said.
And we're literally doing it again the next
And
night.
we don't need to like remember when people said dumb things that they normally wouldn't say things that were that dumb.
All right, Twinkle Toast. Don't you think I'm going to forget what happened last night?
Yeah, you calm down, 20 Twinks. We got
Yeah.
20
Well-
Twinkle Toes.
Don't go to that website, everyone.
20 Twinks is probably not the site you want it to be. Because it's Paige's only feats. We're announcing
It's
it
my
today.
only feeds.
20twinks.edu because it's educational.
Learn something educational for the children. This movie, after seeing it, I'm not surprised it did not last long in theaters and went almost immediately to streaming.
Yeah, I mean, it probably should have gone to streaming first.
I mean, it costs $3 more to buy it than it is to rent it.
I now own this movie, which is great because I'm going to force other people to watch it.
I also now own this film.
I didn't buy this movie, but I wish I had because I loved it.
You loved it, Todd?
I loved it.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it, but it's fucking nuts.
No,
It
I
is
know.
nuts.
It just feels like a high budget Hallmark movie. And it is, I think, a little bit better written, a little bit better shot, but it's like on that level, you know? And they just nail it. They like everything I want out of a possible comeback Celine Dion as a Zeusian figure. I don't know. Like, it's everything I ever thought I wanted from Celine Dion and more at this stage in her life.
She looks and acts and talks like Jack Skellington throughout the whole film.
And we're better having seen it.
For some reason, this movie exists in an alternate universe in which Celine Dion is making a huge comeback. And everyone's like, well, of course. All the kids love Celine. Like, Drake is getting a tattoo of her in this movie, which is the best callback this movie could hope for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that one Drake joke. This is my theory. I can't prove it. And maybe Fun Facts will tell us. Who knows? Wink, wink. I won't. There's not a lot of fun facts in this movie because it's too new and no one cares.
Don't you know what the fun facts are at this point?
No, there's fucking nothing. Well, maybe we'll find out someday. Here's my belief. I believe that this was just a regular Hallmark ass rom-com about a woman grappling with the grief of losing someone that she definitely had way more chemistry with in the beginning of the movie. And then Celine Dion was like, I want to do a movie. And they were like, we'll find a movie for you, Celine. And then we're just like, can somebody just type Celine's name into this script in a couple places? And that's how we got this film. Because it's supposed to be like based on the songs of Celine Dion. And I'm like,
is it?
How? Yeah, I'm like, I don't.
She did sing a lot of love songs, so like, okay, generally, I get it. I guess.
But that's
I don't know her songs except for that one song.
Wait, Mikey, what one song is it? Can you describe it?
My Heart Will Always Go On. Titanic song.
Oh no, she had way other songs before that.
But that is probably her biggest, though, Mikey. You're right.
But then I learned the one that they sang throughout the film and she sings at the end.
It's all coming back to me now.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
baby.
Yeah.
Baby, if you ruin karaoke because the song's 7 minutes. Yeah. the movie exists completely fine without Celine Dion. And that's why it's so baffling to me that she's in it at all.
No, I like it better. I like that she's like, don't tell her. Don't speak. Don't tell her.
That's no doubt. That's Gwen Stefani, not Celine Dion.
I can't wait till we get Gwen Stefani's movie like this, though. Like,
when Gwen Stefani's just a Zeusian figure being like, I'm definitely not racist. You go over here. You go over here. You wear pigtails.
My daughters love your caterpillar books. I want to get you laid.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, I didn't realize this was a love story about Richard Scarry, but all right. It's just.
I do feel like Celine Dion was like, hey, if I fund this movie, can we make it seem like my husband was closer in age to me when we were together?
They just conveniently never mention it, but she tells so many love stories about them, and you're like, girl, she was 12.
Yeah.
Like, this is, oh no.
He was scouting her when she was 12. He signed her, I think, when she was 13.
He didn't kiss her on the mouth until she was like 20, okay?
Actually, she was exactly 20. I looked it up.
It was 19.
Okay.
He left a couple of years in there, so you didn't get suspicious.
No, I'm very
totally
suspicious.
suspicious.
I'm so
Yeah.
suspicious. I believe it slightly less far than I think I could throw Celine Dion because she looks wayfish.
She does look
I feel like
rather
I could
wayfish.
throw her quite a long way.
Yeah. But I mean, her side of the story is that they first kissed at the Dublin Eurovision Song Contest, which I looked up is in 1988.
88. Yeah, so she was 19. Yeah, oh God.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I looked it up. I didn't know when her birthday was, but I went by year. That's why I thought she might have been 20. But I think he was 46 at the time. Hang on. He was 46 at the time.
Oh, yeah, which means he was 50 when they got married. No, 50 when he wouldn't let her sing the song with Seal. Yeah, every time she told a story, I was like piecing together where it was, and I was just like, oh,
He was 50
no.
and she was 23 or 24.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, no. Yeah, the fact that this movie didn't think anyone was going to Google that or remember that. It's like,
Yeah.
guys, this is well documented on the internet and the front row of our brains. Like, you can't just...
Mikey, you didn't know that?
I don't know what the laws are in Canada or wherever she's from.
They're definitely not that. I mean, by the time they got married, it was legal, but they also hid it for a number of years. And I don't necessarily believe that 19 was the first time. I think that's a convenient story.
I mean, who knows?
Oof.
And honestly, she speaks very highly of him, and
Sure.
she does seem like she actually like super misses him.
People who have been groomed since
Yeah.
childhood often have very, sometimes they can believe good things about the people who have groomed them.
Yeah, and it's hard to like look back and
This is a comedy podcast. Comedy.
She brought it up.
What?
Celine started it.
Celine started it.
Technically, Renee started it, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, he's not here to answer for his possible crime. Never mind.
Air quotes.
Oh yeah.
He was killed by that bag of tropicals.
Tropical Skittles are fucking delicious. She's right.
She was mad at them.
She wasn't mad at the Skittles. They just reminded her
It just
of
brought
him.
back the memory. She wasn't like, I fucking hate Skittles now.
I fucking hate Skittles. You ruined Skittles for me by dying from a drunk driver.
Yeah, that's what she was really mad at. Also, that guy faked his death until it came back at the very end. I thought that was crazy.
I'm sorry. You thought John was alive at the end?
No, John was definitely a Force ghost.
Yeah.
I don't know how you didn't understand that.
I don't understand. My dad went out for Skittles and never came back.
It's because he's still looking for Tropical. They're hard to find, Mikey.
Well, what you don't know is Skittles was the name of his mistress.
Taste the rainbow.
He did.
He did. Yeah, no, the fact this movie is so strange.
And wonderful.
No.
I loved it. Y'all are crazy.
I don't know that I'm gonna go with wonderful.
How dare you make me cover Celine Dion? I'm emo or whatever his plot is.
No, he just wanted to start a podcast, Mikey. A terrible podcast.
terrible podcast. And Celine Dion was standing in the way of that admittedly low bar of entry.
You know what you have to do to start a podcast? Literally nothing. It's so easy to start a podcast, guys.
Yes.
Well, then let's get Celine Dion on here if it's that easy.
You don't need her for a podcast unless it's her cosmic will that you don't start one.
Are we all just living in like Celine Dion's universe?
Yeah.
Yes, it's good. The camera's going to pull out and she's just going to be shaking a snow globe and then just be like, the first Noel.
As she eats tropical Skittles. Why would tropical Skittles?
Because they have pineapple. That's why it tastes better.
They are delicious, but as a brand advertising in a movie, wouldn't you just go regular Skittles? It's a bizarre choice for me.
I'm pretty sure regular Skittles are selling fine, and people need to get the word out about the tropical flavorings.
Who is this marketing for tropical Skittles?
Apparently, Paige.
I love fruit.
Our grandma demographic is down on Skittles. We need to find a way.
You think Big Skittle funded this movie?
That's definitely product placement.
Oh, it definitely is product placement for sure. But like, I don't think this is their marketing department coming up with how to get the 64 to 88-year-olds eating more tropical Skittles.
Yeah.
Somebody had that conversation. You need to unpack how much Skittles are in this film, because it's a fucking lot. There's more Skittles in this film than the two
conspiracy.
coworkers.
This is an Alex Jonesian level conspiracy that you have about the dumbest movie we've done recently.
Big Skittle wants you to eat them. They're in the film more than the side characters.
Is this three-sider Mikey again? Is this what's happening?
I'm thinking clearer than I've ever thought before.
Oh, it's cocaine then.
Oh, yeah. He's just sniffing the powder off some sour Skittles.
Today in Congress, they were like, yes, UFOs exist. We have the bodies.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I saw that, Mikey. It's been a good day.
And on top of that, Big Skittle coming in, replacing an actor.
Wow, they're on strike even.
I just hated that car was acquitted for standing its ground.
Fuck you.
They're not in Florida, Mikey. And DeSantis just got in a car accident in Tennessee. Like, that happened this past week. So you know when he gets back to Florida, he's going to make those things illegal.
And where were tropical Skittles when the car accident happened?
Skittles are funding DeSantis. That's all I'm saying.
The Skittles.
The Skittles. Look it up. Here's the thing about the UFOs, though. I was on Twitter today, and somebody had posted
You mean
that
X
footage.
page, please. It's called X. Babe, you got to get with the times.
I'm not gonna. Anyway, so like some guy posted it and he was like, I don't know why people would think that aliens would wish us harm. Do you think this why or why not? And I had to resist the urge to be like, have you seen Independence Day, motherfucker? Like, what?
Okay, for serious though, like, okay.
Yeah,
'cause
let's not play around when we talk about aliens.
I was just like, I was working a day and they're like, what do you think about all that? I'm like, well, the amount of technological advancement needed for them to come here to study us, but then they crash after they get here seems odd.
Oh, so you don't think those aliens are real?
I think if you can travel here from thousands of light years, hundreds of light years away, why you crashing once you get here? I don't understand that part.
See, Mikey, this is because you don't even understand aliens to begin with, because are they coming from thousands of millions of miles away, or are they coming from another dimension within our reality through wormholes that exist at thin places in strategic ley lines and points on the planet?
Listen, if I learned anything from Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Diamond Skull or whatever...
Look, we're not talking Crystal Skull. That's not canon anywhere. Not real life, not Indiana Jones, nowhere.
She's talking Stranger Things.
No, I'm talking tulpamancy. I'm talking dimensionality and cryptids and high strangeness.
All of this during the Love Again episode.
Oh, right. Celine Dion. So what wormhole do we think Celine Dion came through? What dimension is she from?
The best, the Skittles galaxy, the tropical Skittles galaxy.
Wherever she came from, there were nights when the wind was so cold.
She's like, I may look 18, but I'm actually 7,000 years old.
Well, in that case, it's fine.
Yeah, then she was too old for Renee.
She's robbing the cradle.
Yeah.
She does kind of have an otherworldly quality about her in this film.
Her face is shaped like a gray. Yeah.
I was going to say something very similar, and I'm so glad it was you that said it.
There's not a value judgment on that, because grays are kind of majestic in their high cheekbones and big eyes.
Hang on one second. Would you fuck a gray?
No, they don't have shoulders wide enough for me.
They are notoriously thin-shouldered. You're right.
They're notoriously thin-shouldered.
Would it save the Earth if I had sex with the alien?
Mikey, no one's going to ask you to rip an alien in half. It's fine.
Oh my God.
Science!
I'll call you, Todd, if they brought their penguin army to fight or whatever they're invading us with.
That's my superpower!
I mean, grays are supposedly about the size of aliens. Like, they're usually not actually super tall. They're usually about
Yeah, grays are the size of aliens.
like 4 feet tall if you are up on your ufology.
She met penguins.
I'd fight a fucking UFO alien thing. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Well, you'll get your chance at WWF SmackDown this summer when
Yes!
Mikey battles Mr. Garayman.
Oh my God, he's got 20 toes.
And Dr. Satan with the folding chair.
Guys, that was, oh my God. These are two different podcasts.
Who cares? Not me.
The listeners.
It's just one big podcast I call my life.
Welcome back to Mikey's Life.
And we still won't give him a soundboard.
Never.
Bro, he had a soundboard. Can you imagine having Celine Dion on and interrupting her with sound effects?
But the end of this movie does a great job of showing why you shouldn't have a soundboard for your podcast.
I feel like it only works on comedy podcasts and very rarely, and only when it's used badly as a bit.
Yes, that's fine. But that's it.
Yeah, that's
It's also why Mikey's not in control of any tech.
Admittedly, I have one friend who had a podcast with a soundboard, and they gave it to the person the worst with tech so that it never worked right. And for me, that was one of the funniest parts as a bit, and it was one of the funniest parts.
I just got to plug it into the Zoom. I'm going to give it its own mic.
I don't know if you remember this, and I have not wanted to bring this up in fear that it might happen again. But there was an episode, I think it was at the Horror Virgin, where you had downloaded like a ham horn or something like that.
Bro, ham horn is on my front page of apps.
Yeah, and you wouldn't stop doing it. I had such a trouble editing that episode.
Such a trouble.
I am so sorry.
We couldn't hear it. Paige, do you hear anything?
I can't hear a damn thing.
Mikey, why don't you describe what the sound was that you're trying to make your phone make right now? You adorable idiot.
It's a sad trombone.
Hey, you guys want to go through this movie scene by scene?
Sure, if you call them scenes instead of myths of our Zeusian godlike creature Celine Dion, sure.
I loved her in this movie. How dare you?
Okay, I have one more thing to talk about before we go scene by scene.
Bupo the mechanical owl, let's do it.
You mean her sister?
If I had a work phone and I was having a one-sided conversation where they kept texting me and my boss was like, "What were you doing?" I'd be like, "Look, asshole.
I didn't
As you
text
can
back
see,
ever.
I did never texted back."
It was weird that he brought that up. He's done nothing wrong.
And he's reading them off the top of his head. He memorized those text messages for that meeting, which I think is a bonkers level.
It's because they're so erotic.
They're not even erotic. They're just sad.
It's basically a Tumblr.
It's my moody Tumblr that I swear to God, if anyone finds, I'm fucked.
Oh, everybody go find Todd's Tumblr. Search hairyfeet69xx.org.
I'll be completely honest with you. Oh, I'm going to regret this. I really liked the movie The Saint.
Okay, with Val Kilmer and Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah.
I think we can consider that a romantic movie.
I think we can
Of course
as
you'd
well.
like something with shoes, you hairy-footed monster.
I'm just saying, if you want to find it, watch that movie and look for the clues. You know what I'm saying?
I don't
Oh, this is going to be like The Net, where she's just like, who is Praetorian or whatever.
know. The Net, she's playing Doom and she's like, what if I click this one icon? I've unlocked the whole internet. And I was like,
Now they're after me.
Okay, but if The Saint is a rom-com, then Driver's a rom-com, and I'm definitely going to pick that movie.
Driver's not a rom-com. See
Come
the
on,
ending.
it's so great.
He goes to prison and she breaks up with him.
Well, she has a type.
All I have to say is after Night and Day, if Night and Day is a rom-com, then The Spy Who Dumped Me is a rom-com, and we'll watch that shit at
Hell
some
yeah.
point.
All right, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go through this. Wait, Mikey, you had a question about our Lord and Savior Celine Dion before we continue.
My question is, if they keep making these new Ghostbuster movies.
What?
I think she should play the god that comes back at the
Zool?
end.
You think she should be Zool?
How dare you take that from Sigourney Weaver? Sigourney's still with us, you bastard.
Sigourney is just
The vessel.
the gatekeeper. Zool is the one with the flat top and the white outfit.
But she has to play herself as Zool.
But
Like,
yes.
It's just like, some call me Zool, others call me Celine Dion.
Wanna haunt you like this? Sorry.
There is only Zool.
All right, well, let's just go through this movie scene by scene.
All right, we open on a bunch of people texting, and we see a couple texting, and their messages kind of appear in the corner, and it's very a meet cute of like he's surprising her while she's working in this restaurant.
And in his, we're like, this bitch is fine, though. I don't care what she talks about. And I was like, wow, that's weird.
What?
Paige, if you don't mind, let me see if I can decode what Mikey was
Thank
saying
you.
there.
I was so confused.
So what is happening is she gets a text from someone named John. The texts are not super flirty, sort of inconsequential, like, what are you doing today? What's going on?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And she responds with, I'm drawing, thinking about whatever. And he's like, hey, there's a really attractive woman here. I think I might go up to her. And she's like, yeah, you should. You should go up to her. Like, they're playing a game. They're doing a bit, which we come to find out.
They're role playing.
Yes,
It's not a bit. It's a kink.
Yeah, no,
We will
Mikey.
address the role-playing kink later in this film where her actual husband stars, and if you don't think they went home after set that day and just raw dogged till the sun came up, you are mistaken, my friend.
Wait, Mira's married to someone in this movie in real life?
Todd doesn't look at the news.
That's Joe Jonas, though. Isn't he married to the...
No, that's Nick Jonas. She's married to Nick Jonas. That's Nick Jonas in this movie.
Oh, so her husband was the Jonas guy?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the one that takes her out at the bar, Todd.
Yeah, no, I recognized
Yeah,
him.
the bodybuilder dude.
I'm sorry, you said bodybuilder, dude?
That's what he's a physical trainer and he's talking about his muscles the whole time.
Yeah, his character. I thought you meant like in real life. I was like, no, he's a singer, right?
No, he's a singer turned actor and he's actually pretty good in Jumanji.
That's his job. His passion is physical training clients.
I don't think it is. I think that's
There's
just in this
way
movie.
less money in physical training clients than there is being a pop star.
And
Yeah.
that's why he does his day job of international pop star, so he can really focus on his passion.
God, I hope one day he gets out of the grind of being an international pop sensation so he can get back to his roots of training people.
Yeah, no, they're really married, pretending to be on a date in this movie, and I was just like, how kinky for them, all day long. But yeah, there's some fun role playing in the beginning of this movie, and we meet her and her husband or boyfriend, because he doesn't get a chance to ask her to marry him, but boyfriend John, and they have all the chemistry in the world. They are so sweet.
It is literally like the sweetest Hallmarkian interaction you could ever hope for in a movie like this. And then he immediately dies.
It's
He walks out into the street and it's this 4 minutes into this movie. You don't see it, but you watch her
You hear
watch
it.
him die,
Yes.
and you
You
hear
it like a
You
cartoon.
hear-
You hear him get Meet Joe Blacked, but are forced to look at the love of his life seeing this happen to him 4 minutes into a Celine Dion rom-com.
The only thing that would make this scene funnier is if blood splashed on her face while she was looking. Because the sound
Yes.
effects are so cartoony. Because it's
Oh,
like,
it's crazy.
"Haruga."
It sounds like a bus or a train hits. But here's the Mikey, you're gonna love this. He just gave her that bag of Skittles. She didn't even have time to open it and eat it, and then he gets killed. And then when we see it later, that bag is empty. She ate those
the
damn Skittles.
She was like, hey man, I ain't gonna like waste a full bag of Skittles.
It's tropical Skittles. Do you know how hard these are to find?
They got pineapple ones in here. It's why they're
They
better.
do have pineapple ones.
Yeah, they have pineapple ones and maybe some mangoes, guava even.
I had a Skittle once. Never do it again.
Where was he going?
I would, Todd, with talking about having one Skittle one time right into a skinny titty baby bitch joke. I don't know where the character in the movie was going. He had like a meeting with a client or something like that. It was
And that client was Optimus Prime.
I'm going to go ahead and drop in Julian saying,
Can I get a pronouncement of time of death from Optimus Prime?
Time of death, 11:52 p.m.
Thank you.
Farewell. Roll out to heaven.
Yes.
Transform into an angel.
I heard that was big jokes. I wanted to like.
It was the other podcast again, but yeah.
Yeah.
That was the Pet Cemetery episode of Horror Virgin with Jules.
Yes.
They're awesome.
They are awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he gets pancaked like right in front of her.
Yeah, from what it sounds like, it was definitely close casket.
Oh God. I mean, yes. Yeah, clearly.
His remains would have fit in one bag of tropicals.
No, here's what I want. I want like the sounds of him like a car screeching to a halt, and then a close up of him in the crosswalk being like, "Oh no," and then Enya like or like, and then like he falls, and then we just see a slow motion of his hand, and then a bunch of Skittles hitting the sidewalk.
Oh, what you say?
Anyway, we cut to 2 years later, and she's living a very comfy life with her parents.
Okay, I'm so sorry that I have to bring this up so early on in the podcast, but I blame Celine Dion. How long would you wait to start dating if the person you were with died?
Ooh, oh,
Am I in a good relationship?
Yeah, let's say it's like her and John, very much in love, sort of early stages because they're not yet engaged, but like about to be.
What kind of Skittles do I have?
Berry yogurt Skittles.
Oh, okay. I feel like I would quickly go into a very slutty phase where I would be like, you need to leave. My wife is dead.
But like how quickly though, Mikey? Because if you're at like the wake and you're like trying to bang trim, I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how, I mean, it'd probably be one of her coworkers hitting on me. You know, grief is weird on people. I'd definitely wait 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. I asked for an honest answer and I fear I got one.
I feel like if I was that in love, I would downward spiral so quickly that it would be something very bad.
I think you're being very honest about what would actually happen. And I meant more like a theoretical sort of.
No.
I'd have her face tattooed on my belly.
So they have to watch
And I'd
her
be like,
jiggle
look at
while
her when you
fuck
ride
them?
me.
Oh, jeez.
I hate that.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. First of all, there is no accounting for grief. So like everyone grieves differently, and this is pure speculation because this has not happened to me. I would say it can take up to a year plus to settle affairs, depending on
that does not surprise me. Yeah,
what was happening,
yeah.
you know, depending on the death and accounts and whatever. And I feel like every time, you know, when you're working with that, it kind of continues to bring it up and like clearing stuff out of the house.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it was like a year and a half, and I was like, okay, I think maybe I might try to start dating again. I think you got to get past the first holidays. Maybe.
Fuck,
because that's going to be a fucking rough one. But like when she was like, it's been 2 years and you haven't even attempted to start dating again, I'm like, that's might be a little long, but I feel like it's within the realm of normalcy.
Okay, sort of answering for myself, I thought that 2 years was sort of normal-ish, but maybe a bit on the long side. I do think all of the firsts would be very hard. So, like, I don't think I'd be able to date for the first pretty much full year, right?
Yeah.
And that's just, like, I don't think I'd be able to do it. But, like, Natalie and I were watching this together. When this happened, I was like, you don't have to wait 2 years if I die way before you. Like, just, like, live your life.
I think it also depends on how the death happens, where if it's something where somebody's, like, been dying for a long time, I think that can change things a little bit. But for me, I'm thinking in the case of, like, this movie where it's, like, so sudden, you weren't ready for it, and then you have to prepare. I think it'll probably take you a year just to manage and get your life back to some sort of normalcy to then maybe start dating again.
I mean, if I really love someone, it takes me a good 9 months at least to recover from a normal breakup.
Yeah.
If they were hit by a train and or bus car in front of me, I believe it would take at least 2 years. So I think she's okay.
Paige, Buscar is my favorite 80s punk band. But I agree, Mikey. So like when I came back from San Diego, I tried to date before like that 9-month mark, and I was not able to do anything other than slutty shit, you know?
Yeah.
So like I get what you're saying. I just wasn't able to date.
I went too honest. I'm sorry, podcast.
Anyway, so she's
living her comfy life with her parents. And by comfy, I mean she's wearing a robe and sweatpants. And I was like, cozy.
I do love, and this is one of those things that make it feel like a Hallmark movie to me. Like, she's at her parents' house. It's established she's been living there for 2 years-ish, right?
Yes.
And we never meet her parents.
We only see the back of their head, but also that entire time she's been maintaining an apartment in New York with her younger sister who seems to have no job. And she is a children's book author.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, methinks no.
A successful children's book author who's only written 3 books, Paige.
Let me tell you about the story of the curious hairy caterpillar.
I don't want to hear about your dick.
I don't like it.
Mikey, you come up with the children's story at the end of every Horror Virgin episode. I think you could be the world's best children's book author.
I don't want to say I'm an expert on children's behavior.
I don't want to say that either.
But I think I could write a children's book.
Yeah.
They can't even read.
Well, if you like worked on your handwriting, maybe they could, Mikey.
Yeah. I'm going to write the first book for penguins. Anyway, we hear a bunch of her sister's voicemails where she's just like, hey, you need to call me back and you need to move back to the city. It's time to restart your life again.
Yeah.
If you read between the lines, the sister's like, I need someone to split rent with.
Oh, I thought she was still splitting rent.
Yes, she was.
Yeah,
because
I
it
thought
is
so.
still her apartment. She says in one of the messages that like you still pay for.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But we do get a shot of her drawings for her new book that's like the stubborn caterpillar who doesn't need a cocoon. I was like, all right.
I did think the art was super cute, though. Like, I really loved it.
It is. It's not appropriate for a Celine Dion concert poster.
How dare you, Paige? I mean, I do love that we never see that poster.
We do. We actually do see the
It's
poster.
that caterpillar at the end.
Yes, it's in the background of the post-credit sequence, and it looks so strange.
Oh, that's why you don't actually get like a close-up of it in like an emotional moment in this movie.
Right.
Because it looks terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, so she packs up his truck and drives home. And we find out that it's his truck and she drives it because it still smells like him.
Yeah, there's no way it would after 2 years, right?
No, it would definitely smell like Raising Cane's and sad farts.
Well, he had psoriasis. What's the one where your breath smells bad?
That's halitosis.
He had halitosis.
It's
And so the car
halitosis. Halitosis.
Halitosis. But I also love that he's like, he had scaly skin and that explains it. What?
He has halitosis. Halio's like, because he's
An angel
dead.
now.
Yeah.
An angel. Transform into an angel.
He took a shit in the cab of that truck before he died.
And she's like, I can still smell him like he's in the room.
Did he always smell like this?
Like asparagus? Yes, always.
Oof, Mick Goof.
He always wore Axe body spray, so I sprayed the whole truck with it.
One time when I was on a tour, I found a candle that smelled like Jake, and I can't explain it, but it did smell like him.
Okay.
I didn't buy it. It was too heavy to carry on the plane. Anyway.
Also like Jake. That's why he has to walk his own damn ass on the plane.
Well, and I was like, I could take this home. I was like, but Jake's at home. I could just smell Jake. I could just go over and be like, the source. Anyway, she moves back to the city to her apartment with her sister. We cut to a different apartment where Jamie Fraser is asleep on the couch and he's late for a meeting. But before he goes to the meeting, he checks an Instagram post from clearly his ex, and it's just a whole series of pictures of her with her new dude.
Yeah, been there, bro.
Yeah,
That fucking
I connected with that
sucks.
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they've got Instagram's permission to like make this as realistic to my trauma as possible.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
right?
that's like the guy from work she told me not to worry about. Okay, cool.
That's true, because they normally...
They have fake
Yeah.
social media. Big Skittle is all up in this film.
Oh, that's funny. Anyway, he gets to work. And his boss is like, Celine Dion, she's having a Selena-sance. And he's like, I just want to start a podcast for the newspaper. Because we find out that he's a music critic for the newspaper. But the newspaper's just like, no, we are all on Dion. You get on the train.
The newspaper editor is my favorite character of the film. Let me tell you why.
Why?
He plays it like a captain from a detective movie of any sort of 80s police detective movie.
He does.
Yes.
He does indeed.
I love it. It is amazing.
Hand me your pencil and your pad. You're fucking done here.
You made a whole mess of this shit. Now I got to talk to the chief, clean this shit up.
Stop being the best paid music reviewer I've ever heard of. Like, he has the strangest job and gets paid clearly a lot of money to do it.
I know a ton of people who review music for like respectable publications, and they all have roommates. Like, it's not a well-paying job.
Unfortunately, it is not. No.
No. Technically, we're movie reviewers.
Technically.
I bet our circulation's bigger than that paper.
He's holding out for the real money, podcasting.
He is trying to get into podcasting, which to me is hilarious. Like, it's just like the lowest bar to entry, which is why we started doing it.
Yes. But did you see those abs? He's just in it for the AG1 packs they sent us.
And listen, I love AG. I'm not even joking. I drink that shit almost every day. And if I don't, it's because I forgot.
Does he? Well, they've stopped advertising, so shush it.
Call me AG1.
Does he ever talk about any other music he likes besides Celine Dion?
Yeah, he goes on like a whole section of like different jazz and a bunch of other stuff. He seems to like almost everything.
Yeah, he just doesn't love Celine Dion's music because he doesn't know what it's like to ever be in love, Mikey.
And she can tell that by sight and by the fact that he wears those goofy giant red headphones everywhere.
Maybe that's why I can't taste the sweetness in the tropical Skittles.
You don't know what tropical is like.
Exactly.
You've never had that pineapple.
Not in my heart.
Anyway, he is tasked with interviewing Celine Dion for a piece on the paper, which also I'm like, there seem to be a lot of other people that work there. And he seems to not really enjoy or care about Celine Dion, but they give him this assignment. And I was like, you didn't assign his friend, the very hilarious gay coworker who loves Celine Dion, the Celine Dion job.
I'm sorry. He is on the punk goth beat, okay?
I was like, why? He seems to not be the right person for this assignment, but
He's
fine.
the metal
All right.
critic. It's fine.
I did love his gay best friend. Like, I love him in this movie. He's great.
Love.
Yeah.
I wish the best for him and his other coworker best friend as well. They were my favorite
Same.
characters.
When he thinks it's the girl in their, like, the three of the
Oh my
coworkers.
Yes.
God.
When he thinks
So
it's
funny.
her, and she's like, gross. I lost my mind. I thought that shit was so funny.
We cut to Mira
Yeah.
and her sister going out to their favorite burger place, Roxy's, where they put French fries in their burger. Love that. I like French fries and burritos as well.
That sounds amazing. I've done both. I would do it again. But this guy's named Mo, and we have a Fat Mo's restaurant here in Nashville that makes really good burgers. I'm a huge fan of Fat Mo's, but he is so sweet. I love
He's
this
also a
scene
great character.
so much. Yeah.
Like, this movie has heavy return to me energy
Yes.
in the parts that don't have Celine Dion in them.
Yeah.
Well, no, because those are definitely like Wrath of the Gods type energy when she's there. Yeah.
So sweet. Oh, she's like the Tilda Swinton of music.
I really felt for the bag of Skittles because it really emotes exactly throughout the film what exactly I'm feeling
Empty?
and defeated.
Mikey, I would like to take this time to point out that while we were all watching this at the same time, you text us and said it's going to take you 35 more minutes because you fell asleep watching it.
It really did. This movie, very boring. I don't even know if they changed clothes.
I don't even know if they change clothes. They do change clothes. And I noticed because she also wears differing sneakers with all of her dresses. And I'm like, you know what? Bring back sneakers and dresses as a look. I like it.
He wears like a black coat a lot.
He dresses vaguely European the entire time, basically.
Well, he is vaguely European.
He is vaguely European. His accent is all over the place.
He goes full Scottish twice, and you're like, okay.
Dude, he goes, so the first act of this movie, he's like, his boss is like, I hired another Brit like you. Don't let me down. We're British guys. We're in this together. And then by act 2, he's like posh Scottish. And then by act 3, he's full Highlander. And I was like, was he also back on the set of Outlander while they were filming this? Because I do love him on Outlander. He is great.
But it's nuts to me that they weren't just like, hey, instead of saying
Scottish?
English, just say you're Scottish, because he's fully Scottish. And it's not like his Scottish is so crazy weird you can't understand what he's saying.
He does audiobooks, and there's some of the few audiobooks I've managed to actually listen to, because his regular speaking voice is gorgeous.
Oh, I'm sure you were listening real hard, Paige.
Real hard.
I guarantee you that was either a Celine Dion decision or a Big Skittle decision.
Yeah, Big Skittle hates Scotland.
Because it used to be Skitland.
Until Clan McMuffin took over.
Oh, here we go. Clan McMuffin.
I think I've seen that movie. It's got Liam Neeson, right?
Yeah.
Taken out?
No.
Oh, drive through?
No, it's Rob Roy. It's like the plot of Rob Roy.
Also, we didn't bring up, his name is Rob Burns in this movie. The same as like, similar to Robbie Burns, the famous Scottish poet. And so I was like, why isn't he just Scottish?
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's weird.
I wonder if they had that conversation like halfway through filming this and the director was like, yeah, just use your regular voice. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, who gives a shit? Yeah, because by act 3, he's just like, I don't really know. And you're just like, what?
And you're like, hell yeah, Jamie Fraser.
Oh, man. So the Outlander break, they started doing something I find really, really funny that they didn't used to do in early seasons, but now they do it all the fucking time, and it cracks me up every time. So they've started telling Jamie things about the future. And so he'll be like, I'd never leave you, Claire. I would always be beside you. But also, tell me again about airplanes that are up in the sky, but it cannot be. That's where God is. And you're just like, what? What the fuck?
Man, they are just like digging the barrel for
Scraping
content
the bottom of the
on
bowl.
shit they can put Jamie through. Like, I can't wait till next season when he's like, I'll never leave you, but like, can you tell me about internet pornography?
They haven't experienced that yet because it's only the 70s, modern day.
Oh, my bad.
Anyway. So they're talking to the guy that owns the burger restaurant, and he
Mo.
lost his wife, Roxy. Yes,
Yeah.
Mo. And the restaurant was named after her.
Yes.
And
yeah.
he basically says, hey, I know that what you're going through, it's very hard, and it never fully goes away. But at the end of the day, I pour a glass of wine, and I tell her about my day. Basically, like, just because they're not here doesn't mean you can't talk to them.
Yeah.
And he's like, eventually you will get to a point where you will feel better and more normal, and it will be something that is just a part of you, essentially.
Yeah, I really love like the metaphor he talks about, like every night it's like a layer of ice and eventually the ice will support the weight.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, that's like I thought great way of describing it.
Yeah. We cut to Celine Dion at work.
Now, when you say
At a press
work,
conference.
what do you mean? Yeah, exactly.
Now get to work, bitch. Dun, dun, dun.
We cut to Celine Dion dressed as Steve Jobs doing a press conference while everyone is sitting behind. It looks like it's a NASA command center. I don't know.
Everyone also looks bored as shit.
They look so bored.
Yeah.
Each person has their own chaise. It's just real crazy.
Yes. It is like if, I don't know, King Louis XIV had a press conference.
Yes.
This would be like what it looked like.
Let them seat chaise. It's just wild. And they're all asking questions, but he is getting text messages. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I am way ahead of myself.
Yeah, because we haven't
established
seen
the phone.
Yeah.
So he's at work telling people about the Celine Dion assignment or whatever. And they also give him a second work phone. And he's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want a second phone. How dare you? And I'm like, oh, I would kill for a second phone just to
Same.
keep my work and stuff's completely separate.
It'd be great.
Would love.
Yeah.
So he reluctantly takes the second phone, and his coworkers are like, I bet the boss is tracking what's happening on the phone. And I'm like, yeah, it's a work phone.
Yeah.
That's why you have the two phones. So you've got the work phone where you don't do anything but work on it. And then you got your phone where you send all your crazy pictures of like, photoshopping people's heads onto other people and whatever. I do that a
or
lot.
where you upload your feet pool videos to Instagram from.
Yeah, feet pool, or you record TikToks of yourself crying and farting while watching this movie, like whatever you're gonna do.
Paige, I guarantee you, if you did that, it would have gone viral.
Probably not.
I'm gonna put my feet up on that TikTok.
Do it.
Gross.
Anyway, that's more of like a toe talk.
I know that
thing.
you're a hater because your feet can't make content like that, and that's fine.
Oh, my feet would go viral with all 20 of my toes.
Oh, I'm not talking to you, Paige. I'm talking to Hobbit Foot over there.
Oh, you don't think there's a market for big feets?
No.
You're the one who commits domestic violence.
Yeah.
Why do I get busted for hairy feet? I've never bruised someone with a toe that I know of.
Yeah, he's just making footprints in the woods to confuse the History Channel.
My toe is like a handsome guy you get close to, then he turns abusive and then hurts you. Your toe is like a guy in an alleyway with an overcoat. They don't even let them that close. That's all I'm saying.
I like that, of course, Todd's feet would have a jacket.
Well, of course, yes.
But oddly enough, it sounds like the vibe was nothing under that jacket, though.
The toenail was under that jacket.
Oh, no, sorry, in my brain, I was like, what if penises had a nail? And I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, that would be weird, right? If they had a nail, right, Mikey? That would be weird, right?
We got to get you to a doctor, bro.
or a manicurist.
Wait till I pick a shade.
I'm getting French tips. Anyway, so they're trying to get him to text a girl they're trying to set him up with, and he's like, no, because we find out that the girl he was stalking on Instagram is his fiance who basically left him at the altar.
Yeah.
For a guy who won't make eye contact with the camera for their Instagram.
I know.
Oh my God.
so
When they
strange.
showed the ex, I was like, oh, that ex, like her new dude is not into her. And I love that they sort of telegraph that in the Instagram pictures.
Yeah. Anyway, he launches into a crazy monologue about how love isn't real and just trails off. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
what are you even saying?
How dare you speak to Celine Dion in unfinished sentences?
He's talking to his coworkers. We haven't gotten to Celine Dion yet because
What
we
are
got
we
ahead
doing?
of ourselves.
No, we were at the press conference with the
No,
Say's
we
Lounge.
weren't. No, we weren't. That's what I tried to tell you. We had gotten ahead of ourselves.
Mikey, just lay back and let it happen.
No.
She's looking at it.
Oh, God. He doesn't want the phone. They force him to take the phone. He makes a weird monologue to his coworkers about how love isn't real, even though he is Jamie Fraser, king of men. Then we cut to her apartment where she opens a box of her boyfriend's things. And this is where she finds like his shirt and the album they used to play. And it's like a whole bunch of stuff. And this is where she kind of decides that she is going to text his phone because she was going to basically have like a glass of wine like the guy suggested. It doesn't feel natural to them and what their relationship was. Their relationship was more, like cute texts and stuff. So she just starts texting his phone number and no one texts back, right?
Right.
But lightning strikes while Jamie Fraser's watching basketball, and as the power goes out, he gets the text. And I don't know if the lightning had something to do with it, but Zeus, the god of lightning, aka Celine Dion, may have been intervening in the lives of these mortals.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't lightning. Ben Franklin had nothing to do with it. It was all Celine Dion.
I like that you think that Ben Franklin is the god of lightning. That's a wild take.
I think it's a pretty pro-American take. So I'm sticking with it.
There was no lightning before America.
As Paige said on a previous podcast, our third president, Ben Franklin.
Fun fact, had 20 toes.
Also,
like
fun
all
fact,
geniuses.
never a president.
He did have 20 toes on him. It was in France, and he paid good money for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's called a threesome.
No, it'd be a foursome. Are we going to count his toes? Or
No,
Yeah, you got to count his toes. He's involved.
but you can't fuck your own feet. I've tried. I haven't. Feet don't do it for me, but it was funny to say.
what stopped you? The calluses?
God damn it. Anyway, he gets the messages, and they're real sad. And I started typing all of them out, but then there were so many, and I was like, I'm not gonna.
It's literally the weirdest meet cute since You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
I've making jokes. I mean, like, I've only loved maybe 2 people enough to write text messages this embarrassing when read aloud. And like she's just pouring her heart out. But I wish it kind of turned sexual and been like, I just also miss.
Well, she does at one point. She's like, I wish I could be naked next to you. And I was just like, that's what I'm talking about, girl.
It's not enough. It needs to get awkward, weird. Like
I like when you do that thing with your pinky. Yeah, that kind of.
Yeah. I like when you dress up in the bunny suit. Yeah, and we hop around.
We just watched Bridget Jones' Diary, and clearly Mikey picked up a fetish.
I do love a vintage Playboy bunny outfit. I do think they're very, very pretty.
Who doesn't love it?
Anyway, so he reads all these messages, and the fact that he's not instantly curious and immediately replying is crazy to me.
I would not be able to not respond and at least be like, hey, I'm so sorry this happened to you, but this is now not that number anymore. You know, like to let them know, like before they do like trauma dump on you, not on you, but like
in general.
I would just be, I understood when he was like, I just don't want her to be embarrassed. You know, like I understood that.
Yeah, not only do I not want her to be embarrassed, but I also like, I'm too curious. I gotta know. Like those texts are wild. Like,
yeah, so for me, it would just be like, hey, I just want you to know that like I'm reading these and you may not want that to happen, but please continue because I love a good story.
Please continue. I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
I would have texted back and be like, hi, it's John from heaven. send nudes right up to heaven.
Surprise, Scientology was right. Just like, who knew?
Scientologists.
This is John 15 years ago, like that movie, Frequency. Do you remember it?
No.
All right. Anyway, send me your nudes so I know who to look for in the future. But you have to be nudes, so I know to be sure.
Right. Especially that little birthmark right next to your hoo-ha. Anyway.
The G spot.
That is not what that is.
We cut to the next day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We are an hour in and we have not really even started this movie.
Because it's perfect. It's just so hard to get through.
I mean, there are a lot of hard things in it.
I don't remember anything.
I know, Mikey.
That's why you focus so hard on fucking Big Skittle and their overthrowing of the Skitland government.
I love that we made that a thing.
Anyway, she goes to her book meeting with her editor, who's just like, hey, we're not ready to publish this Caterpillar story about depression yet, so we're going to fire that intern if you don't fix your shit.
I love that scene so much because her name's Miss Valentine, and she starts talking all sweet, and then she's like, hey, send in the intern. And she's like, hey, if you don't finish your book, and if it's not a bestseller, this person who literally is like pulling herself up by her bootstraps.
Yes.
We're going to fire her. I was like, God damn, Miss Valentine, you cold-blooded.
That actress has been in 2 movies in a row.
Hell yeah.
Because she's also in
you.
Bridget Jones.
Oh, is she?
The editor lady, yeah. I was like, wow, when was the last time we had this happen on the podcast?
That's awesome.
Anyway.
But she's great in this. Doesn't have a lot to do because she's in like
2 scenes.
2 scenes they shot definitely on the same day, you know? But she's great in this movie. Yeah, she's very funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, she keeps sending those texts and he keeps getting them and they get creepier and creepier. And the fact that he's not like, this person's a serial killer who wants to wear my skin is wild.
Oh, the fact that when it's revealed that he is the person receiving those text messages and she doesn't assume he is like some creepy stalker dude and run out of there. I mean, she does handle it badly, but I would have like blasted out of the door like Wile E. Coyote.
Oh, I've taken off. Yes. Yeah. Or I don't know. I'm like,
how good was that, D? I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's Jamie Fraser. If it's good, D, it might be worth risking it. I get it.
Yeah.
You should.
Risking it for the crumpet. Anyway, so he sees his coworker texting at the same time that he gets one of those texts. So he thinks it's her and he's like, do you want to go talk in private? And she's just like, yeah, all right. Great. What do you want to talk about? And he's just like, I need you. And he's like quoting the text and she's like, what the fuck? You're old. And he's like, I'm like 35. And you're just like, oh, okay.
I mean, he is, well, I think he's probably in his early 40s, but like.
He's in his early 40s for sure, yeah.
He looks great, though. Like,
he looks fucking amazing. I love that they were like, how many times can we get his shirt off and not have it be weird? Enough? Okay, cool. Great. Thank you.
Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the groceries, prep work, and the cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door with over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more. Plus, over 55 weekly add-ons. You'll have tons of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Factor now offers like a load of snacks. In fact, we just got some of these like smoothies that were really great. They have a banana chocolate smoothie that like I drank way too much of. It was so good. And even better than that, when things get hectic, Factor's like flexible. So you can change up your order every week with plans from like 4 to like 18 meals per week. So you can like have a bunch of meals or just a few meals depending upon like how many times you need meals that week, right? So it's great. So head to factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 and use code romancingthepod50 to get 50% off. That's code romancingthepod50 at factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 to get 50% off.
Anyway, so she's like, yeah, I did not send you these texts. And she's like,
But also, like, does he not understand that the texts obviously sound like she's lost someone to death? Like,
to death.
He's like, I think these texts come from you. And she's like, remember when you were hit by a car? I wish you were still here and naked. Is it you sending me these texts, girl that I work with?
But also, my favorite is she's like, this is definitely a phishing attempt.
Yeah, I do love that she's like, just don't give them your credit card information, boomer.
And tell IT about it so that we can block the number. Remember to report it.
Yeah, like that's probably what you should have done, really. Not like, oh, I wonder if I could fuck this person who's clearly emotionally vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Anyway, so we do have, she texts like, smelling your shirt, losing you all over again. And they're just like, this is super sad. Let's all read it. We're all invested now. And then at this point is the press conference where Celine Dion has entered the chat.
I love it. Celine Dion, first off, way better at acting than I thought she would be. Like, she really comes off as a Raiden-esque but wise figure in this movie.
Yeah, kind of an all-powerful Sauron kind of figure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who can clearly control lightning and telephone text message directions.
And is also psychic. Definitely some sort of white wizardry happening.
Definitely picked from a young age.
And groomed for this like oracle type position.
Yeah. Anyway, so Celine Dion enters the chat. Everyone is on chaises in a gold and white room. I do also love that Celine Dion is, with the exception of the one scene where she's doing a sound check, she's never not in a fancy gold and white room, sitting in a fancy gold and white chair. And I think maybe she's in heaven and it's a metaphor for death.
I do think she is planning for the 78th annual Hunger Games. Like, that is the vibe of every room that she's in.
I think she killed John to set this up.
Oh, thinking about the Hunger Games.
I honestly don't even know what song that is.
Heaven. The song is Heaven. Baby, all that I want.
Is that a Celine
Dion
Dion
I'm here
song?
with Celine Dion. No, it's a song that sounds like heaven.
I'm never going to make it to Taco Bell in time.
Well, you're in luck because in Russia, Taco Bell comes to you.
I forgot you had Taco Bell, damn it.
I'm sorry that you'll miss getting one taco.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to eat my breakfast, too. I'll just eat the half.
Anyway, the press conference happens and he's continuing to get text during the press conferences, and Celine Dion is like, how dare you answer text messages in the hall of Celine?
Not now, mortal.
Yes. And then she throws a lightning bolt at him, but he catches it because he's Jamie Fraser. Anyway.
Yo, the Love Again expanded universe gets nuts later on.
Yeah, oh, for sure. But he's just like, I'm sorry. Like, you know, when you said, like, how do you even know love is real? And she's like, you know nothing about love, Jon Snow.
Let
like,
me tell you
wild.
about this time a 46-year-old man kissed a 20-year-old me.
Oh, no.
That happens in this scene.
I No, that's not this scene. It's later when he's on the press junket is when it
Ladies out there, I'm just looking for my Celine Dion. So
if you're 12, call Mikey.
no, I was talking about more in the 20s. Talking about more in the 20s here.
With your age, she'd be like 8.
I thought she was 20 and he was 40.
46. He's 26 years older. So
that's way too old. That's
See,
just
you
so
clearly
old.
were not listening earlier
Yeah.
when Todd and I were like, it's horrifying.
I also hate that he didn't have feelings for Celine Dion until she was rich.
Anyway, she's like, you know nothing about love. And he's like, oh no.
also, does Celine Dion write her own songs?
No! This bothered me
like-
the entire fucking movie!
When he breaks down her quote lyrics, I was like, I don't think she wrote these songs. I mean, she might have. I don't fully know. But
I'm Googling it right now,
Okay.
but no, of course not. There's a million writers on them.
yeah. I always had the vibe that she was just like a amazing once in a generation talent, sort of like Whitney Houston. So like,
Yes,
they could sort of pick whatever the best songs from the best songwriters were, you know?
absolutely. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So like,
She did, occasionally she's credited as one of the writers on a team of writers.
Sure.
But it's not often.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying Celine Dion ain't no Taylor Swift. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She also covered a lot of songs.
Well, and listen, she has an amazing voice. She can do whatever she wants.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so we cut to Priyanka Chopra and her sister, or Mira, whose character's names,
Yeah.
and her sister has like created a profile for her on an app and takes the phone and like signs into it and texts this guy back and sets up a date for her to go for drinks with a guy on this app.
Yeah.
We cut to Jamie Fraser just constantly listening to Celine and getting more depressing texts, which is a wild montage of him just like reading her autobiography.
It's like breaking up without the relationship.
Yeah, it's real crazy. But Mira texts John, or who she thinks is John's phone, that she's going out with a guy for that night and they're going to Ronde, which is a bar.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, perfect. I'm going to go see if I can see and find this person. Which, here's the thing. I would have absolutely messaged this person before now, but if I hadn't, I would absolutely go to the bar to try to find them. I would be on Detective Sleuth the whole time.
You would not be able to stop me, Paige. I would 1000%
right?
be.
Yeah,
Yes.
you would have to go.
Yes. Are you kidding me? I get to unlock this mystery.
And that's when I would text them back.
And that's what I would tell them. And I'd be like, hi, I followed you here. Don't run. Be quiet. Like, you know,
Come with me to the second location.
there's a van outside. Get in it. Yeah.
I would just send a picture of her from across the bar back to her without context.
And then she's like, and then it's just Whoopi Goldberg sitting over there. And she's like, you know, those texts, you take them with you.
I have a message from John. He says, bye, see you later.
Heaven's cool. Wish you were here. Bye.
That ghost episode was wild.
That was a crazy episode.
Yeah.
But I kind of prefer that movie. I don't know. That
I do
movie
too.
tugs at my heartstrings.
What you're saying is you prefer a blockbuster movie to what is essentially a like big budget Hallmark movie. Yeah, of course Ghost is way better.
It's not just a big. They have actual Instagram and Skittles in the film.
Big Skittle signed
Big
off
Skittle.
on this.
Mhm.
Maybe that's why Jamie Fraser's in it. And they're like, if you are going to have Skittles, you have to have a Skittlish actor. Anyway, so they go to the bar, or she gets ready. She goes to the bar.
Yeah.
And he's like, I bet I can put a face to these texts, whatever. So his coworker goes with him. And the first person they spot is a silver fox who is gorgeous. I really hope the coworker and that guy worked out because, like, ooh, child.
I mean, it did seem like they were super into each other because he sends a drink over to Jamie Fraser's gay best
Coworker.
friend here. Yeah, coworker
Mhm.
or whatever. And I do love that exchange. Jamie's like, what is his name in the movie? Do you guys know?
Lord John Gray. Oh, no, wait. That's Outlander.
Oh, yeah. His name is Billy.
Billy.
Yeah. So Billy like gets that drink and then it's Rob and Billy or Jamie Fraser and his gay best friend or whatever. And he's like, I don't think I'm going to go over and talk to him. And Jamie's like, no, maybe you should. And he's like, I'll go.
I'll go.
It was really cute. And then he goes over and then he comes back with his number.
He gets his number. Good for them. But they use that number to determine that it's not him. What a bummer. Because, like, what a love story for the ages.
Right.
I bet Celine would have fucking loved it. Anyway, he spots Mira, who he has, like, walked past on the street before. And he's like, oh, I think I've seen that girl before. Maybe it's her, right? And her date is Nick Jonas, her literal husband.
Like in real life husband.
In real life husband.
Okay.
In fact, there were rumors, and again, rumors. This is blind items and nonsense that, like, clearly it hasn't happened yet, so it's probably not true. But there were rumors that they were potentially breaking up because she had cheated on him potentially during this film.
With who, I wonder?
Oh, wink, wink. I don't know.
Fuck Celine Dion.
This is just a peek into our horrifying group chat. Is I bought this movie and I was like, Outlander better be shirtless. And Todd texted back, wait for the shower scene. And I texted back, oh, does Celine show full bush?
Yeah, those are actual chats from our DMs. Do you remember what I said back to you, Paige?
Not since Renee died.
Yes.
I'm sorry. That's horrifying. We're bad people.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's on a date with Nick Jonas, and he's like, you can't do squats without a brain. And she's like, you can't do anything without a brain.
And he's like, yeah, you get it.
You get it. I actually do like him in this because he's ridiculous in a hilarious way. And she asks him a would you rather question, and he acts like she asked him something wildly offensive, and it's so fun. He's like, why would you say that? And you're just
he's like, neither. I wouldn't do either of those. Why would you? Like, it's getting hostile in here. And she's just
it's
like,
too much pressure.
I know, it's so crazy.
Like, what? And so he goes to the bathroom. She texts John's number.
Yeah.
And Jamie Fraser gets it and is just like, oh my God, it is her. Like, now connection.
Yeah. Well, because he sort of sees her texting and she says in that text, more or less, my date went to the bathroom. It's not going great. Something like that. So
yes,
he like through context clues like, oh my God, it actually is her. Right.
Right. And he's like, well, I think she's having a bad day. But Nick Jonas comes back over and he's kind of like, you know, in her ear and on her neck and stuff. And it looks very cozy. And he's like, the guy that does too much push-ups. And his coworker Billy's like, no, that's the perfect amount of push-ups.
Yes. I did think that was super funny. I like that a lot.
Loved. So funny.
Yeah.
But as they're leaving, he just goes, I bet I could bench press you. Just hilarious. But I'd like to have someone try.
I mean, she does leave with him after saying that, right? So like,
hey, if somebody like claims if I was not married, obviously, but if someone had claimed that, I would have been like, let's test that out.
Yeah, let's figure this out.
Anyway, we cut to a taxi. She and Nick Jonas are making out. And she's like, I kind of want to take it a little slower. And so he tries to kiss her in slow motion, which is real
joke
funny to watch.
So much.
I also love that he like goes to choke her in slow motion. I was like, where he's going just as like, because he goes for like her boob and he's kind of around her neck and she's like, slow it down. And then he just does the same shit in slow motion, which is chef's kiss. Very funny.
It was really funny. Yeah. And he does really like commit to being an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
It's
and
great.
As soon as she's like, we're not going to bone, he's like, oh, and just like goes back on the app and she's like, are you looking for another date? And he's like, yeah, I got to burn off the calories from the drinks. And she's like, get out and run to burn off those calories. So she goes home. She puts her ring back on. We cut to Jamie Fraser around his apartment with the giant headphones and the texts come back.
You really don't like those headphones.
They look insane. He looks like Dead Mouse.
Dr. Dre would like a word about his beats.
Anyway, so one of the texts is, I miss you. And he just like out loud to himself alone in his apartment with his giant headphones on is like, I miss it too. And I'm like, you're a stranger. You've never met her. Like, that's crazy.
He's maybe a little crazy.
Everyone in this movie is a little skittled, if you want to think of it that way.
Yes.
Yes. So we cut to the next day. He's at a press junket for Celine Dion. And she's like, oh, the guy who was rude in texting during my commandments or whatever.
But it's just her and him though. There's like no one else in the room. And I love this because they're like, it's like a normal junket. Celine's in a chair and he's like on a couch asking questions, but they're pretty far away. And she immediately is like, let me see your hands.
Well, and he wanders over like a toddler who doesn't know how his limbs work. It's so strange.
It's so weird.
It's so funny, but she like reads his hands.
His force energy or something.
It's
She's just
insane.
like, and what we really needed was for her eyes to glow and for her to get like a flashback and to be like, we need to leave right now. They're headed up the stairs. Like that kind of thing.
I thought we were going to get a Benny Jesuit test or something.
Yeah, put your hand in this box.
Yeah.
Then you'll understand what love is and also pain.
I have fallen for that line a few times.
Put your hand in this box and then you'll understand what love is.
Anyway, so she's like, are you a fan of my music? And he's like, yes. And she's like, liar. And she's like, you don't even know how to hear it. You don't understand what love is. And he's like, what? And she like reads off lyrics and she's like, do you know what that means? And he's like, I thought I did.
I thought she was going to give him a quiz on her music, and I was wanted that scene of like, in 1989, what was my number one? And I'll be like, oh, he's not going to know that.
Anyway, he's like, I think I might have feelings for someone I've never met. And Celine's like, that's not crazy. We'll cut back in a few minutes and I'll tell you some wild stories. So we cut to Mira's apartment.
Yeah.
And she's got the empty Skittles and the drawing because she ate them after he died. It was so strange. Anyway, she gets mad and throws it at the record player and breaks the album that he had in that box.
Yeah, which is the album of the opera that they go and meet each other at.
Right. It's Eurydice and
Persephone?
No, it's similar to the story of Persephone, but it is different.
Okay.
Anyway, so she breaks the album and she is devastated. I would be fucking wrecked. Like,
oh, yeah, because that is the album that he used to play for you. It's like, that is an irreplaceable thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
You could buy another album, but it would never be his, you know?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
I literally cried. I was so sad. Yeah.
It made me cry a lot. But we cut back to the press junket and I was like, press junkets are like 5 minutes and they're like curled up on the floor with coffee cups.
I thought that shit was so funny though, because it cuts away from this, like, I think pretty emotional scene. And then we're expecting to be back with Jamie Fraser and Celine Dion, like where we left them, just in chairs talking to each other. But no, they have their shoes off on the floor, like having this like
a slumber party.
Yeah, like a slumber party vibe. It was so funny. I loved it so much. Like literally when he's leaving the scene, he's putting his shoes back on.
Right.
That was so funny.
And she's like, look, I know you don't know this person. You're technically stalking her and you're following her around, but love doesn't follow rules. And I was like, what? Love should follow some rules.
And also some of those things, Celine, are illegal.
Anyway, but Celine's like, yeah, love doesn't always follow rules. Like, think about my situation. And then she tells her story of her and Renee's first kiss as if it's just like two people meeting, completely ignoring the fact that it's like, oh, a 46-year-old man and a teenager? Like, oh, God. Oh, no.
It's not great. But of course, the ages aren't mentioned. But she does say it's at the Dublin Eurovision Song Contest, which was 1988.
Is how we know when it was.
Yes. I looked it up. And if you want to see the way she looked on that night, you can watch the video of her singing on YouTube.
Yeah, you can.
It exists.
Now, and I do have to bring up that Renee had been her manager since she was 12.
Yeah.
It's a dark story, is all I'm saying.
It's not positioned as a dark story, but it is. It is.
Yeah. And she basically like finishes that story and then she's like, love is a plan for each and every one of us. And these texts are a part of a plan for you. That's why I did it, because I am a deity. And then she's like, come back to me as a man. Like she sends him on a quest.
She literally does.
I'm telling you.
That's why I said she was the oracle. Like this is like that meeting that you see like in that story circle. Yeah,
exactly.
But she literally says, come back when you're a man. I was like, God damn, Celine's brutal.
Cutting to the core. And he's like, I'm 35. And you're just like, oh, all right. And then she says, open your arms to the universe. And I was like, that sounds like some woo shit she'd say. I was like, all right.
It's like, did my mom write all Celine Dion's dialogue? Like, what is happening?
Oh my God, is she the Christina Milian to Celine's J-Lo?
What?
I know that joke is for people that are not Todd, and that's okay.
I have some Googling to do.
Anyway, so Mira is like, I think the texting is making this harder. Like, I am dwelling on this, and so I need to take a break. And we cut to Jamie Fraser in his apartment listening to Celine's cover of All By Myself, singing along with his crazy headphones and doing something weird with food on a fork. I was like, what is that? And he just kind of like flings it onto a plate. And I'm like, this is a weird montage. And he's just staring at the phone. And occasionally we're hearing like his headphone audio basically. And so we just occasionally hear people talking behind him.
Yeah.
And one of the conversations is just vegan ice cream. I am outraged. I was like, about what? Sorbet? Like, what is happening?
They actually do have some pretty decent vegan ice cream.
I have had some.
Yeah.
You can make very good vegan ice cream.
Yeah.
It's one of the few vegan things that are just like instantly good.
Vegan ice cream, it almost tastes as good as the worst regular ice cream. They're like, we really melted down this sawdust and combined it with crushed up, carrots, and now it tastes like cookies and cream. And I'm like, get that shit out of my face.
Anyway, it's real cringy.
It is.
And his coworkers are like, stop looking at the damn phone. Calm down and breathe. Oh, it's Orpheus and Eurydice. Anyway.
I saw you have that realization.
Yeah, I know it's in my notes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we cut to she is listening to it, or she has the album cover and is like telling her sister about it. And she's like, it was the opera that he used to play for me all the time because it's about a man who travels to Hades to get his wife and he's not supposed to look at her face. And we also are getting this from his coworker who like breaks it down and is like, because there's in the text, the last few texts that he has, one of them is a quote from it because she's mad she broke the album. So she sends a quote. The quote gets interpreted by the coworker. And now he's like, I have learned about a new opera and I shall go to that opera as many times as I need to find this woman, which is nuts. Operas are expensive.
I do love that he was like willing to go a ton of times, but no, it's fine. It was the first one is the one she was
I
at.
wouldn't go to the opera that much with an actual woman that was loving me and in a relationship with me.
I also love that he's like, I could just text this number back. No, I'm going to go to the opera a bunch of
I'm
times.
going to do the creepy stalker thing. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
His goal is to get a podcast. I know he's not smart.
But at this point, I was like, it's 42 minutes into the movie and they have not met. Like our couple has not met in person.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he goes to the opera and actually enjoys it and comes out and he's like, well, I haven't seen her, but I think I love opera now. And then he sees her and it's cut like a perfume ad of just like, oh, de opera. And they do something really cool where like they're in a crowded room and everyone disappears.
Yes.
And they have this very kind of awkward but cute conversation where they have like a little meet cute, they exchange numbers. And then as soon as she walks away, suddenly it's crowded again.
Yeah.
And I do really like that. That's one of the few things I was like, that's a very cool thing they did in this movie that is so fucking weird.
Shit like that reminds me of West Side Story when Tony and they see each other cross the way and like everything like is out of focus except for them. Like I honestly loved this part. I loved that they did it this way. Yeah.
Anyway.
Love West Side Story. Sorry.
Love it. But so they have a little conversation. He talks about like his interpretation of the show, which is actually more hopeful than hers. And she's like, I've never thought of it that way. And in talking, they exchange numbers. She texts him her number and she texts John to tell John about him, which at this point I was like, well, now it's super fucked up because now he's got inside intel that she doesn't know he has.
Yeah,
And
but that's the last text she sends John. We see it later, which I like that he wasn't using her text to John like against her in any way.
Yeah.
So are you saying that John ghosted her, so she ghosted him?
Yeah. I don't know if you can call it ghosting if you send your dead ex-boyfriend 1,000 text messages and then eventually stop responding.
Yeah. He left her on red.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He left her on dead.
So we cut to the next day at work. He's like, I talked to her and I followed her and we talked about stuff. And then she texted me from the old boyfriend's number. And I'm just like, slow down, Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
We're not going to murder today. And his coworkers are like, that's okay. You should probably tell her maybe.
As soon as possible, you should tell her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The phone rings and it's her. He picks it up and he just yells into the phone.
He's like, yo! I love that. It made me laugh so hard. This was funny to me, though, because, like, he isn't awkward around her when he meets her at the opera, but, like, his banter is shit over the phone. And I don't know why, but I love that as, like, a character choice. Like, this dude is so nervous on the phone.
And it's weird because he's proper fit, but he don't have the bants. I don't know if I'm going to spend money with him if Lana's going to see it.
I have loved this season of Too Hot to Handle.
Oh, it is wild.
Yeah.
I'm only a few episodes in.
They're the dumbest so far. And that is something.
I just watched the episode where that guy was like, I think I'm in love with this girl. And then that he's like, I hope she's not Latina. And then he's like, I guess I have to break up with her now and date this new girl.
Right?
Like, oh, wow.
Literally in the same episode.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Here's what's crazy. That's not even the last time. It's nuts.
That dude just jumps on anything new.
That dude is a sociopath. Like, holy shit. Anyway. So they agree to go out to dinner, and he's like, "Do you eat? I mean, I assume you eat. But everyone loves food. Like, I love food. I can't get enough of food until I'm like, okay, that's enough."
He's the worst at talking on the phone. It's so funny.
His word salad. It's madness.
He's a writer.
He is a writer, Mikey. Jesus.
He's not a talker. Give us time to write it down and then it won't sound dumb. That's why our signs are so good on the picket lines.
Yeah.
So they go to the cheeseburger place. Oh, he agrees to go to the cheeseburger place, but before he can go, his boss calls him into the office and is just like, why have all these sad texts been coming to your phone? And he's like, they're song lyrics from Celine Dion, because they do kind of sound like it.
And he's like, oh, you must have made a very close connection with Celine Dion.
Are you fucking Celine Dion?
That is what my next question would have been, right?
Yeah.
Listen, man, she touched me like this.
And then I held her like that.
And Renee's been dead for like 3 years and mama needs some loving.
So it's all coming back to me.
But this is like the same like beat in like a cop drama where like the rogue detective would be getting shooed out by the police sergeant or whatever. And it's like beat for beat that same thing, but about text messages that he is not responding to.
No.
He has done zero wrong in this scenario.
He has only received them. Yeah. Anyway, he rushes to the burger place, finally gets there, and he's about to tell her immediately and doesn't. He's like, I'll tell her at another time. That was a bad idea.
He's like, I'll wait till we fuck.
Yeah. Anyway, so he goes back out there and they both put fries in their burger, which I think is very fun and cute. And this next like montage of their date that kind of lasts all night or whatever, they do seem to have chemistry at this point.
They do.
And it's
not
great.
quite as much as her and John, but like they have good chemistry.
Honestly, her and John in the beginning, I don't know, I was like, vibes, yes.
Dude, John, I thought did an amazing job. Like the actor who played him was so good.
Loved him.
Yeah.
Anyway, at one point, as they're bantering back and forth, he just says, well, the accent does all the work. And I was like, truer words. Never spoken.
If I say it, it's all the hate mail, but whatever.
Well, the only people who got upset when you said it were the Australians. Scottish people were cool about it.
Because they know.
Yeah, the Skittles are amazing.
Yeah.
But I do love that this is the point in the movie in which he gets progressively more Scottish as the movie goes, where he's almost like, the accent does a lot of the work, Sassenach. You're like, okay.
I do love at the end of this movie, he is clearly just on the set of Outlander with a I Heart Celine Dion t-shirt dancing around.
I don't know if it's the set of Outlander or his other show, which is actually really fun to watch, where he and Graham McTavish, who was also on Outlander, just travel around.
Yeah, their travel show.
And do shit. I think it might have been that show. Anyway, but
it's so funny though, because it's like the most beautiful landscape behind him, and he's just dancing like an idiot with a kilt.
No rhythm.
Yeah,
But here's what I love about him though. No one can take this from him. Dude commits 150% every time to anything.
He is great. I like him a lot.
Yeah. I feel like he might be kind of a dork in person, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Anyway, they end up dancing in the park, and then they sit on a park bench and stay up talking all night. Not the safest place to do that, but I'm glad that happened for them and they were safe and they were fine.
It is super sweet until you think about like logistically how that could never happen, because
I was like, this is Central Park.
And it's winter.
And it's
in
winter,
New York.
That's right.
They would be dead.
Yeah, or at least had many offers to cruise.
Yeah. But this plants the seed of the misconnection at the end, right? Because when they're dancing to the accordion player, the music stops and he keeps dancing. And this is where he thinks of when he says, the place where I heard the music again.
Right.
And she thinks it's the opera house.
It's the opera house.
Yeah.
But I do love when they're dancing to the accordion guy. And the accordion guy just stops abruptly and just packs his shit up, where he's like, well, clocking out, done for the day.
Yeah. He didn't like get any tips from them. He was just like, I finished off my shift of Central Park accordioning.
Yeah, the saxophonist will be here in just a second, but I'm on break. Like, whatever.
You're on break, accordion to you.
Anyway, it's morning, and he's like, I don't want this date to end, but it has to because it's morning, and eventually we have to get off this park bench. And she's like, okay, well, why don't we go back to our respective houses, shower, and then we'll meet up back at my place, and I'll cook for you. And he's like, all right.
I like how... I don't even know if assertive is the right word, but like she like communicates that she's into him and like would like to see him again. I really love that because that is not something you see a lot in rom-coms.
Their relationship, aside from the stalking, is very grown up and communicative.
Yeah. I really
like that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but I'm saying it's the closest we've ever come to being a perfect movie.
No.
Thus, Celine Dion has ordained it. Anyway, we see them attempt to make a curry from like almost like a packaged meal kit thing that they both fail.
Yeah. I do love that like it cuts from them failing to cook to them eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I was like, that feels appropriate.
I'm also obsessed with the way he says Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, God.
Because he's like, crunch. And you're like, what? Say it again.
If you want to get turned on by Jamie Fraser reading
naming cereals,
names, watch this movie. You'll love it.
And, yeah, he's like, it can't be Lucky Charms. That's the other ones. That's not us. Yeah. Anyway, he says, I would learn to cook for you. And she kind of steps away because I think if you remember, John was kind of the cook.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that just kind of touched at a thing. And so he asks, he clearly senses that like, oh, I have touched a nerve.
Yeah.
And so he says, how did he die? And she says, drunk driver, broad daylight, and it's still been 2 years and I can't believe it.
He was driving a tank.
Oddly enough, it was a Skittles truck. Betrayal. But she says something that I think made me very, very sad, where she says, I was so sure we'd grow old together, but I grow and he stays the same. And I was like, ah! And this is when I was sobbing and farting at the same time.
Well, technically, he is decomposing.
But it's her memories that she's talking about.
Those are decomposing too.
From the Skittles poisoning. Anyway, so he tells her about how he likes basketball and that they should play sometime. And that's how he kind of gets to know people. And she falls asleep.
She does.
Anyway, he falls asleep. She falls asleep. He carries her to bed.
Yeah.
Tucks her in.
And then doesn't leave. He lays down on her couch.
Red flag.
But respectfully sleeps on the couch. Doesn't.
Yeah.
He should have respectfully locked the door and went his ass home.
I would have
too, because I'm not sleeping on somebody's couch. Like, just call me tomorrow. I would have like sent a text, left a note. Yeah, be like, hey, I had a great time. Let's do this again very, very soon.
Yeah.
I can disarm a bomb in the dark without.
I didn't roofie you and take you to a creepy island.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like that he doesn't change her. He just takes her shoes off, but maybe that's what he's into.
Yeah, red flag.
So he stays. Sister comes home and is like, who the fuck are you? And punches him in the throat. And I cannot tell you how much I love a throat punch. I have loved it both times it's happened to Judy on this season of Gemstones. I love it when it happens here.
It is great. It is very funny. But I mean, he is a strange man to her because this is the first time they've met, right? So like, I get why she freaked out. It's just a strange man in her house, you know?
Yeah.
But they do quickly sort of like, oh, you're the guy that my sister is dating or whatever. And he's like, yeah, sorry, she fell asleep. And then I thought I'd be a creep and sleep on your couch.
Yeah. Anyway, they end up, I think I think he stays up 2 nights in a row because I think he stays up with the sister and gets rolls and coffee or whatever.
I think he does, yeah.
And then she gets up and is like, oh, God, you're still here? I've got to go to Soul Cycle or the grocery store or the dentist. One of those. Anyway, bye.
I think she just makes an excuse to go back to her ex's car and just sit there and cry. I think she like feels a little guilty about like sort of falling for somebody else again, which I get. Like, it's got to be complex, you know, that grief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he walks in on Celine Dion's sound check. No one stops him. They just like let him through. I think because he's a journalist, maybe he had a press pass or something.
No. She told all her people that when he comes back a man to let him in.
That exactly is what I was going to say. She handed out a photo of him to all of her bouncers and was like, hey, if this guy comes back, but he looks like a man, let him in. And they're like, well, that's a man. So I'm just going to let this guy in. Yeah. And so he had carte blanche, as the weekend says, to just walk into any sound check he wanted to. That's how I say it now, because it's bonkers.
Todd.
Yes, ma'am.
In this scene, they're auto-tuning her a cappella. Yes.
I heard that. Yes.
They absolutely
It's
are.
impossible not to hear. It sounds tinny and crazy.
Yeah. It sounds like Bo Burnham's Kanye rap bit. Like, it sounds like that sort of a thing.
Oh, God. And literally she sees him from a distance and is like, you seem brighter and more in focus and straighter, too. And I'm like, he seemed pretty straight this whole time, but fine. All right.
I was like, I'm pretty sure my mom said exactly that to me when I came home for Thanksgiving last year. Like, that is like how my mom talks. It's awesome.
But she literally is like, let's sit down. Let me drop everything Celine Dion's doing to keep the universe spinning and talk about your problems. And he's like, yeah, no, I like met the girl. I haven't told her I'm stalking her yet. But she's also like, her name is Mira Ray. And she's like, of the caterpillar Mira Rays? Like, of course, I have children. Every child reads the Caterpillar book. And you're like, all right. Okay.
I mean, to not work for 2 years and to be able to afford a apartment in New York City.
Yeah.
Every child has to have bought 3 or 4 of her books. Yeah. Of the 3 books she's put out, they own 200% of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, right after she talks about it, there is what I think to be an inside joke from a casting director that made it through to the final cut. Go with me. An assistant comes out and shows her this like flaming photo of like, what do you think about this for the poster? And she's like, no, it looks like I'm standing in hell. I want something more joyful. And then that assistant's like, fucking fine, like clearly upset. But like you finally get a lingering shot on that assistant and she is dressed and looks, hairstyle, everything like Wednesday Addams.
Does she?
I was like, yes, brighter, more joyful. And she's like, I'll give you fucking joyful.
I mean, they do that to set up the Caterpillar poster that looks, I am assuming, terrible because we never see it.
It looks wild.
Yeah.
It is bonkers.
But, you know, he's talked to Celine Dion 3 times, so he feels comfortable being like, hey, will you call my possible ex and, like, give her a job?
Yeah, he gets 2 more wishes.
Yeah, so one of his wishes is to, like, have Celine Dion commission his soon-to-be girlfriend.
You have pleased me. I shall get you laid.
Mortal.
Don't let the golden gates hit you on the way out. So she calls her and she's like, it is me, Celine Dion. And she's like, yeah, sure. And I'm Mariah Carey. And she just goes, I forget which song but she sings a song to her about taking the phone call. And she's like, oh my God, it is really you. Fuck, what do I even, oh my God. And she's like, yeah, my people have people. I can get anyone's phone number. Anyway, I need you to draw me a poster. And she's like, what, why? And she's like, Caterpillar. And she's like, you got it.
No, she basically says, you haven't worked in 3 years. I'm going to throw you some work.
Which, how would she know that if she wasn't the head of the Adjustment Bureau? Hang on, stay with me here for a second.
Okay.
Like,
oh my God.
she
all right.
is definitely the head of the Adjustment Bureau. She had to kill John to get those 2 together.
I mean, it definitely kind of checks out because if he's the creator presents itself into each of us in its own way.
Yeah.
Even Celine Dion.
I'm sorry, was that how you say Celine Dion?
I say it Celine Dion.
Celine Dion.
You pronounce it the way she does then.
Yeah, Sunnydale. My favorite is she like hangs up with her and then she texts Drake and is like, send a pic of that tattoo of me when you get it. And Drake allegedly texts back, for sure, which is a callback to earlier in the meeting at the newspaper where he's like, Drake's going to get a tattoo of her.
But also, like, Drake ain't in this movie. Like, that's just like a text.
Not.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, because Drake's busy texting his own 18-year-old.
Yeah.
If it doesn't start with uno, dos, tres, pitbull, Mikey doesn't listen to it. All right, Paige?
I feel like Mikey would like Drake.
I love Drake.
Anyway, so Mira texts him and is like, hey, meet me. Like, let's, talk or whatever. She meets him with champagne stuff and tells him about the whole Celine Dion thing. And he clearly is like, oh, I wonder how she got your number. Just a little bit of Sherry Moon Zombie for you. So they decide to play basketball and they shoot like 1 or 2 hoops and then start making out. And I'm like, traveling.
Oh, they're not like playing real basketball, Paige. Like, it's like at most it's Harlem Globetrotter rules, like.
I think it's just horse.
They're playing Celine. It's the same amount of letters.
Celine?
But she is very forward with him in this movie, which I was like super into. I was like happy for her.
Good for her.
Because she's
Good
like, hey,
for her.
if I sink this shot, I get to take you back to my place and do whatever I want with you or whatever. And then you see her shoot in a way that would guarantee she would not hit that basket. And then you hear a swish through a hoop we have seen without a net on it.
Well, it's got like a chain, but it's kind of falling down to the side.
Yeah, like it would not have made that sound. You like simply would not have heard it if it went through the hoop, and they still drop it in. It was so funny to me.
Yeah, but they end up making out, and we cut to the next morning. Oh, hey.
Oh, yeah, she definitely got that
No problems. Yes, she got that date.
She did.
But he wakes up and he's like, I got to be in the newsroom in 15 minutes. I'm like, who can get anywhere in 15 minutes? But fine.
He's in New York.
Yeah.
If that newsroom isn't in his building, he's going to be late. And
he's going to be so late.
Takes a shower?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that where I'm like, I'm going to be late, but I'm going to take a shower first.
Oh, no, I get that.
Oh, no,
but
that's fine. Yeah.
Then you don't say, I have to be somewhere in 15 minutes. You say, I'm going to be late for work. I've got to shower immediately. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
You also don't stay when she falls asleep in her couch, but he
this
does
is
things
his
weirdly.
place.
We don't know that. We just know he took her to an apartment.
What is he a secret agent in your mind? Like, what is this? This is a safe house, Todd. Clearly,
He may just sleep on different people's couches every
We've
night.
seen his apartment, Mikey. It's his apartment.
Allegedly.
Anyway, he gets in the shower. He's singing in the shower badly, which I do love when people go all in on singing badly. That's pretty fun.
Too. Like, it's not to sound good. It's to like fall in love more with that character. And I love that he does it. He's just like, fuck it. This is my place. I'm going to shower like I shower. I don't care who hears me.
But while he's in the shower, she sees his desk and his phone, and he's got his computer up and he's got his cloud linked to his computer and the texts are up. And so she calls him on the wrong phone. Oops.
Yeah. So she also sees the text messages up on his computer so she can see that he's getting the text messages she's sending John.
Right.
So she calls John's phone number and can hear it vibrating in the bathroom with him. That's how she realizes that he has that phone.
Yep.
And he had sex with her with her text messages pulled up, which is like a kink that I can't even describe.
I know, right? Do you think he like whispered them into her ear in the middle of it?
He like pulled them up so you could watch them while he was having sex with her.
Wild.
I mean, they were on his screen the whole time. She just walked over and looked at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like, block my number and never call me again.
Yeah.
The fuck off. So we get a montage of him being super sorry, but he doesn't text her or whatever. But we cut to her going to Roxy's where Mo is like, hey, I'm dating somebody now because I saw you date somebody. Yay.
I did love that on some level though, because it is like, it felt very Hallmarky to me. Like that guy is in 3 scenes, shot all of them in 4 hours. Like it feels very like low budgety fun, and I'm here for it.
I also love the very next scene where he's talking to his coworkers and he's like, I ruined it. And he's like, well, what was I supposed to do? Tell her right away, be like, excuse me, I'd like to get to know you, but I have text messages from your dead boyfriend. And they're like, yeah,
that would have worked.
And he's like,
damn
ah,
it.
shit. Damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like, when's the deadline? So, of course, he changes the Celine Dion story. And I do love that they read it and they're like, he's like, I was supposed to write about Celine Dion, but I just didn't. And I was like, dude, you'd get so fired. like I was supposed to plug her upcoming concert tour, but fuck that. This lady touched my dick and now she won't talk to me anymore. And at one point, he does say in that article, Celine Dion opened me. And I'm like,
hang on a second. Did he get pegged by Celine Dion and we didn't see
start
it?
the rumor. Start the rumor. Start that blind item. Him and Celine Dion, let's go.
Here for
anyway,
it.
everyone is reading it because anytime there's an article in a movie, suddenly everyone reads it.
Oh no, it would be big fucking news if like Celine Dion was tied up in this like dead lady's
Giving
like
people
phone number, ex's
weird
phone number.
advice.
Yeah. No, this would definitely be news.
She would smooth it out in her Shays Lounge press conference. She's like, I'm not going to take that question from you. You've never been in love.
Yeah, you don't even understand what love is. But I do love that she just is like, she's like, Celine sees the article that's supposed to be PR for her show and is just like, you know who needs a call? Mira. It's like, I understand that you're probably feeling apprehensive, but let me tell you this story about one time when my husband got jealous of Seal in 1991 when I was 23 and my husband was 50.
Yeah. I looked that up too.
Yeah, of course I did. Anyway, she's just like, hey, forgive like if he's your person, forgive him. And I'm just like, okay, but like that's a lot to forgive.
Yeah.
I understand. We cut to his office the next day where he comes in and his editor is just like, how dare you, but also great.
I
Well
love this
done.
scene though. It is so funny because he is like performatively chewing out Jamie Fraser.
Yes.
Right.
But he like writes a note and like sticks it down on a post-it note in front of him and it just says, well done. And then he
Well
starts
done.
like in between yelling at him, like whispering so like everyone outside of his office can't hear.
He's like, I have to yell at you or everyone's going to use this as their blog and we can't have that.
We can't have that, but you get to start your podcast. And he's like, oh, and I was like, dude, podcasts are free. Like, what are we
It's the
doing?
least I could do.
I love
Yeah.
that he finally achieved his lifelong dream in this movie of becoming an unsuccessful podcaster. That is the
Yeah,
lowest
no one
bar.
is listening to that show.
Anyone could do that. Literally.
Anyone could. Anyway, she's reading back through the texts, and it's almost like John is there as a forced ghost.
I love this shot scene though, because it was like,
It's very
you know,
sweet.
she's like saying goodbye, and he's like, I mean, I realize that it's like her giving her the advice through her own sort of like, okay, what would he say to me in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so freaking sweet. And the guy who plays John does a great job. So I like seeing him
So
again.
good.
Yeah.
So good. And he's like, you know, like the caterpillar, I want you to fly. And I'm just like, oh,
I know. And that's like-
like,
That's like a reprise of something he said in his only scene where he's actually alive, where he's like, when is that going to become a butterfly? And she's like, I'm not ready for
Yeah.
that yet and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's really sweet. I sobbed during this scene too. This is like
Yeah.
the third time Natalie looked over at me like I was crazy because I was openly weeping.
Yeah, because I didn't have those emotions watching it, but that's fine.
I was crying.
Yeah.
But so there's some confusion because they're supposed to meet at the place where she heard the music again. He goes to the park. She goes to the opera house.
I love that they're both sort of right.
Yeah.
But I do think it's like she was super into him at the opera house and he got super into her in the park. And so they went to different places. I thought it was funny.
Yes. And he like goes to her house and her sister's like, I don't fucking know, dude. This is your thing. Figure it out. And he's like, oh, the opera house. Oh my God. So he runs there.
She also shows him the
Oh, yes.
butterfly, right? And he's like, man, I fucked up. And she's like, yeah, man. I'll see you never. Bye. And then
Bye.
And then he's like, oh, wait, no, it's the opera house. I got to go to the opera house. So they run to the or he runs to the opera house.
And it's closed and she's not there. And there's no like visible sign of her, but he just like runs out into the sidewalk and is just like, Mira! Mira! And I was like, if she's not there.
I thought that was so
Like,
funny
is
that
so
he yelled.
funny.
Because there are people on the street, but exactly 0% of them are Mira.
Yeah.
In New York, never.
Never. But she is there. She pops out and she's just like, hey. And she's like, okay, it's back on, but I have rules.
Yes.
Like, no more lying. You have to tell me if you're pretending to be my dead boyfriend. And this is when he goes full Outlander. It's just like, never again. You're just like, all right, fine.
Paige, don't pretend like you weren't super into it when he slipped into the
Always.
Scottish. Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do love that she says, I'll always love John. I'll always miss him. And that'll change over time. But that's always a part of me. And I was just like,
I know.
Yes.
I was sobbing here too. Like, it's so sweet.
It's sweet.
But also, like, it's a real conversation. Like, I've never dated someone who lost someone like this, but I'd imagine that that's sort of how it is. Like, you always love that person. You'll always miss that person. And the way that changes, or just acknowledging the fact that that will change over time. Like, I loved it. It feels like a very grown-up conversation for what, like, is essentially a Hallmark rom-com.
A way bonkers movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also love that she's like, you have to learn to cook. He's like, I absolutely. And she's like, and Celine says you have to do the dishes. And he's like, anything Celine says. And we cut to they kiss, and we cut to a Celine Dion concert, and everyone from the movie like dancing to Celine Dion music, clearly during the pandemic when they could not be together.
I know. Yeah.
But at this point, I'm like, this is really exaggerating how much this movie needs and loves Celine as a plot point. But this is where he's dancing with no rhythm in a kilt on a hill, which is very fun. And then there's the mid-credit scene where he finally has his podcast with a soundboard.
Yeah, you have to wait for it because it's like buried deep in the credits.
Deep in the credits.
And that's the movie. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you guys think about the perfect Celine Dion rom-com, Love Again?
It was okay.
Yeah, I settle at okay. I would say it has more chemistry than most Hallmark movies because they actually get to kiss and have sex in this one.
Yeah.
So that's great. Nobody does a bad job in it. It's just a really weird conceit for a movie.
I know, it's great. It does have Return to Me vibes, though. When you said that, I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of it being, you know, the heart of the person's former partner, it's just their cell phone number. But it's essentially a very similar plot. But I loved it. I really did like this movie way more than I should have. I will admit that.
I feel like for me, if you took Celine out of it, I'd like it more on a Return to Me type of movie where it would just be a straightforward rom-com. But the inclusion of Celine as a weird demigod adds such a layer of strange to this movie that it's just like, it's kind of fun.
It's just weird.
But like, I want 7 more of these movies where she shepherds 2 couples through their grief trauma rom-com.
Todd,
If this was Hallmark, they would release one of these every year.
Yes.
every year. Todd, I want her to replace the Lachey's on Netflix.
And she does like the non-toxic versions of like
She's like, Francesca, you don't even know what love is. Oh, okay. Oh my God. All right.
I could see Celine Dion hosting, and I'm going to call it Text with My Ex, and they have an AI algorithm study their whole conversations with their ex that has now passed away, and they have to text that algorithm about the guys they're currently dating.
This seems super unhealthy.
Well, yes.
But I love it.
I love this too. I may cut this and call Netflix tonight.
No, don't. We're not scabbing.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Hold it till after the strike.
Paige, I am honored that you like went with the conceit that I could get Netflix on the phone. So much so that you were like,
hold on.
Don't do that. So Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
Very few.
Well, here it is with your fun facts.
Very
Dijon,
few fun facts. So there's only about 6 fun facts.
Okay.
I'll count them down.
Welcome back to Paige's Top 6. Fun facts. Coming in at number 6.
We mentioned that his name is Rob Burns, and that is a reference to Robbie Burns, the poet Robert Burns. That poetry is a pivotal role in reuniting Jamie and Claire in season 3 of Outlander, where he publishes it before Robbie Burns is born, and she finds it, and that's how she's able to like track him down.
Spoiler alert for season 3 of Outlander, everybody.
Spoiler alert for season 3 of Outlander. Nick Jonas is in this movie, and they are married. There we go. We covered those fun facts. Now,
Number 4.
Number 4, when sending actually, no, we've blown through more than that. But when sending texts, Mira's phone number reads 1675309.
Instead of 8675309?
Instead of 867. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, in this movie, Nick Jonas orders margaritas, but in Jumanji, he makes them. Those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige.
You're welcome.
Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for Love Again?
What do we think is on Celine Dion's rider? The Blood of the Innocent, a couple doves.
Adrenochrome for sure.
Adrenochrome for sure, and just a case of Skittles.
Did you guys want to guess the budget?
$20 million.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna say 35. I bet this cost a lot of money, unfortunately.
Guys, it was $9 million. You think Big
that
Skittle
makes me
can
feel
throw
so
around?
much better.
Yeah.
I thought Celine Dion would be expensive.
She made the movie.
I know. I was like, I'm pretty sure Celine Dion funded this movie. Yeah. But either way, whoever funded it, this movie came out on May 5th of this year. Oh, man. And it was 5th the week it came out. It was beat by Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which was number 1 that week. Super Mario Brothers, the movie, was 2 that week. Evil Dead Rise was 3 that week. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret was 4, and Love Again was 5. What do you think Love Again made in its opening week in the box office?
$6 million.
Okay.
$2 million.
Paige, you are almost exactly right. It was $2.3 million. And it was in the theaters for 6 weeks total. But after its second week, it fell out of even the top 10 and then quickly out of theaters after that. So what do you think it brought in domestically in the box office in its 6-week run?
$3 million.
$5 million.
Those are both great guesses. It was $6.2 million.
Okay.
Which is lower than its budget, but it did make $4.4 million internationally for a total of $10.7 million out of the box office. My assumption is it went to streaming so quickly because it would be more expensive to acquire those rights.
It also was expensive to stream initially. That's why we waited.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely think they're on the line of, did they make money or not? I really hope they did, because I really want 9 more of these movies where she shepherds 2 strangers through love. But that's your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that romance scale?
Yeah, romance scale 1 to 10. How romantic we found the film today. Paige.
3.
Todd.
Oh, fuck you. I'm going to give it a 6.
Oh my god.
No, you know what? I might be wrong. I'd edge it to like a 4. What did I give Return to Me?
I don't know, but this does have Return to Me vibes.
It's very similar.
Yeah. I would say it's definitely a 1 on the lion or the roar scale.
Yeah. I'll give it a 1.5 because we actually get lion roar in this movie.
We don't get actual sex scene though.
No, but compared to other Hallmark movies, we get head and shoulders above.
I mean, true, but
I'm gonna give it a 3 and a 1 lion roar. It's
all right. That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
About as sexy as a Dove soap commercial. And that's your romance scale.
So this week, Paige made us watch Love Again. Mikey, what are you going to make us watch next week?
Summer Catch.
Oh,
Summer Catch.
Okay.
This sounds like it's probably like a Freddie Prinze Jr. kind of vibe.
It is Freddie Prinze Jr.
Oh, is it?
Jessica Biel.
Okay. Oh, I've seen this poster before. Okay. So your homework for next week is to watch Summer Catch and then, report back for that episode on Thursday. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
I'm looking one up currently.
Hell yeah. Well, while you're doing that, let me tell them how they can have their review run on the podcast, and that's to leave us a 5-star text review, and we'll have Mikey read it for you. Mikey, whose review are you going to read this week?
Marcia Mello 92.
Well, what does Marcia Mello 92 have to say?
Hits all the right spots.
How you doing?
Whenever I'm feeling down, this trio of romance lovers can bring a smile to my face. Heart emoji, 5 stars.
I think calling us romance lovers is generous.
Yeah.
5 stars?
Well, Marcia Mello 92, thank you so much for the awesome 5-star review. And if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review, leave us a 5-star review. So, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts. Black Card Rehab, and Cult Podcast. So guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show.
Yes.
On Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show, SHO, like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at MRandolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion.
I'd fuck Celine Dion, yeah.
Of course. She's a diva.
Yeah, a diativa. Bye! This is honestly just less problematic. You've got mail, nerds.
Oh my God, it is.
Yeah.
La, 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 la.